Hello, it is Jack Gill and welcome back to Redmen Academy. I am, as always, joined by James McHale for this one. And we're just going to have a look at recent results for the youth sides at Liverpool Football Club, a look ahead to the EFL Cup game, or the Carabao Cup game, against Lincoln City, of course, on Thursday. And, of course, a reminder, we'll start with a reminder, really, that on Tuesday, it is Liverpool under-21s versus Wigan in the EFL Trophy. That is obviously the Checker Trade Trophy, the formerly known as the St Johnstone's Paint Trophy, and that is the first game in the group stage where Liverpool have Port Vale, Tranmere, and Wigan. So yeah, me and Liam are going down to that one, I believe. So really excited for that, and you can follow it on LFC TV. But if not, we'll be giving live updates. I'll make sure we do that. So yeah, just a reminder of that. We'll go on to the most recent results, James. We're going to start with the under-23s, who have played twice already. For Barry Lutis' side, it started really well. A Merseyside derby win, 1-0. Cain scoring inside the first minute. Really good performance from Quiveen Kelleher. Second game, not as well, James. A dominant performance against Derby, but a 2-1 defeat. Cain scoring a phenomenal free kick that day.
Yeah.
But results-wise, not what Barry Lutis would have hoped for.
No, but we've seen, there are bright sparks there, Kelleher and Cain being two key players there. We know how good that Cain was last season. We were talking about a lot, he's quite an emerging player, sort of came out of nowhere, we felt, but now he's stamping it onto the under-23s team and he's scoring these goals that are important and, will go a long way this season into getting us, a good league finish after starting, quite poorly last season, really, at under-23 level.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the thing I think with Cain. He was in the under-18s last year. He moved it to the 23s. It was a transition that sort of happened over Christmas, the Christmas period. He then went quiet and under the radar a bit for the under-23s, but he started the season in fine form. As I say, the only Liverpool goal scorer so far, 2 goals in 2 games. Wonderful free kick and then a lovely goal inside the first minute against your Merseyside rivals. So it couldn't have started better for Cain. And as we mentioned there, Kelleher with a man of the match performance against Everton. Just a question, really, James, on what next for Quiveen Kelleher, because I know Jaros started against Derby. Has Kelleher sort of outgrown youth football? We saw him, of course, he wasn't on the bench against Chelsea, but he was involved in that travelling squad. Yeah. What happens next for this young lad? Is a loan? Is it the right time for a loan move for him?
I think he needs to, otherwise he's going to stagnate. These minutes that he got are the first proper minutes he's had in quite a long time, really, considering he's usually in the travelling squad week in, week out, and that's an experience in itself. But you need to be playing minutes at such a young age, and I think a low move to the Championship could suit him quite well. The same way that Grabara got consistent minutes for Huddersfield for quite a long period last season. So there are going to be clubs that will be in the market for a young goalkeeper, whether that's even just a rotation option, which will still be more than what he's getting at Liverpool right now.
Absolutely. We'll keep you up to date with all things in the 23s and we'll do more videos like this, going into more depth though. If you subscribe to this channel and follow us on Twitter at Redmen Academy, we will ensure that we keep you up to date with all things Liverpool unders. Moving on, James, to the under-18s. Unfortunately, the first game was postponed. No official reasoning on this yet, we believe. There's rumours going round, but we don't really want to talk about that. It involves the coronavirus procedures and stuff like that. So the first game against Manchester United away from home was postponed. And the second game, James, was an absolute thriller, a 5-0 win, a hat-trick for Layton Stewart, who continues to impress, and 2 corners by Dominic Corness. I hope I pronounced that right. But yeah, he may as well just change his name to Corners, that fella, James.
Yeah, he's brilliant. You don't see that happening ever, let alone twice in one game. You don't expect someone to be on a hat trick directly from corners, and the result itself will go a long way. Stoke aren't an easy team to play against, but to play in the fashion they did, they absolutely ran away with it and dominated Stoke completely. Layton Stewart was brilliant. He was winning everything. He was dropping deep to track back. His goals weren't just proper sort of poacher's goals either. They were long range goals. He was bending them in. It was just, he made it look easy. And we saw how good he was last season. And he's carried it on seamlessly this year too.
Yeah, he looks a real star, this lad, and he's one that's still very young. Obviously, he broke into the under-18s last year, just 16 at the start of the season. He's still got another year of under-18s left in him, but whether he'll stay at that level throughout the season, I'm not sure, because I think Barry Losers will want him in the under-23s. We don't know what's happening with Joe Hardy either. He's missed the first 2 games, I believe, through injury, but it may be that he could be on the move, or maybe he's standby for the first team. We've got Liam Miller, who I think has been decent in the first couple of games as
Yeah.
well. The only thing that's been missing for him is a goal. But yeah, it was a very, very good performance by the under-18s, James. That one, and a fantastic way to start the season.
Yeah, definitely. They were brilliant last season, and we've seen them continue this season. Even though they've had a change of manager with Barry Lucas obviously making the step up and Mark Bridge Wilkinson coming in. There's no drop off in quality, and the players that we expected to come into the team have performed, and then the youngsters as well making that step up from the youth setup, going in perfectly and slotting into that team and putting in performances. Like Dominic Corness.
Yeah, I want to talk about Musialowski as well, because
Yeah,
one of the great things about this channel and this job, James, is that with the under-18s, we're seeming to learn a team every season. So it's about adjusting to that ourselves as well. But we've got a lot of new players in the under-18s, as expected, as I say, every single season. But Musialowski, who is a Polish international, Liverpool have of course signed him. He looks very good, doesn't he?
yeah, very good. Same as Melkamu Frauendorf as well, who obviously came from Hoffenheim last month. Come into the team, he had to come in. Obviously, we had a Harvey Blair go off injured, and he didn't look out of place at all. Obviously, we don't know how long Harvey Blair's going to be out for. It was for a muscle injury that we suspect, but Frauendorf, obviously, we saw his stats. It was brilliant last season for the under-16s, I believe, at Hoffenheim, and we have got players ready to come into the team who can perform, and even though we have got a very good 11, the depth is there as well, and there's no drop off in quality.
Yeah, one thing we speak about a lot is how good and sustainable this model is that Liverpool and everyone involved in this football club have built. Recently, we've seen the transfer window where we went from being slated by everyone and being told that we were going to drop off, and that how
Yeah.
could we expect back-to-back titles, etc., etc., to turning it round in the space of 2 days, making 2 incredible signings to add to Simicast, of course. It's the same with youth level. We make incredibly smart signings. You compare us to the likes of Manchester United and other clubs like that. You look at our situation at the minute, where we spoke in a video that went out last night about Kijana Hoover and Ryan Brewster, and how much we're looking to make from their sales. Are there many other clubs that can make that much money from youth prodigies at the minute in English football? I don't think there is. I'm really impressed with everything, and I'm really impressed with these 2 signings, like you say, Frauendorf and Musialowski. Yeah, it's really exciting times at the minute to support this football club, and really exciting times to look at our youth sides and see what they're becoming. Also, we've got a Carabao Cup third round tie
Yeah.
against Lincoln City ahead on the horizon on Thursday night, of course. James, which youngsters do you expect to start?
It's a tough one, isn't it? Because we have got first team players that will be dying for minutes too. The likes of Shaqiri, Origi, if he's staying, as well as obviously Jota and Thiago, who are hoping to be sort of integrated into that first team setup. Not that Thiago looks like he needs much integration, but then obviously you've got Sepp van den Berg, Koumetio, if he's fit. We're not sure as he was out of an injury the other day. Then Curtis Jones, Nico Williams, Harvey Elliott as well, who will be looking to carry on from where they sort of dropped off last season and get the odd minute here and there. So it's going to be a strange one, because we have got, plenty of depth now up front, especially with Minamino now being in the team as well. But I think if we do see certain players start, there'll be substitutions around the 60-minute mark if the results go the way we hope, and we'll be seeing these fringe players all getting the minutes that they need.
It's weird because we didn't do too badly in the cups last year.
Yeah.
Obviously, with the Carabao Cup, we got all the way to the quarter-final, and then we're messed about by everyone involved in the up above, with obviously having to play our under-23s, and the best of our under-23s being in Qatar with the first team. But nonetheless, I thought we gave Villa a good game, bar the scoreline.
Yeah.
And then in the FA Cup, of course, we could only be knocked out by Chelsea after knocking out Everton and Shrewsbury Town. But I think that's because we had the perfect balance of hungry young players and players that wanted to play for first team opportunities from the bench and stuff like that as well. I think at the minute we're in danger of having players play just to put them in the shop window.
Yeah.
And that's not what I want. I want to beat Lincoln. I want to then go and beat Arsenal or Leicester, or at least give them a very good game. And then it comes to December and we see that we're actually in a decent situation in the Carabao Cup, and we could go on and try and push for more silverware and win something else for this squad. However, with that being said, it's not a situation, it's not a trophy where if we go out of the competition, everyone's like, oh, I can't believe it, we've been knocked out here. It's one of them situations where it's a free hit, really. So Klopp's got to put out a side that he believes can beat Lincoln and progress the next round and see what happens. And for me, I'd like to see Koumetio, I'd like to see Jones, Nico Williams, of course, and Harvey Elliott. I think Jones and Nico are certainties. I think Billy Koumetio, especially with all the centre-back injuries at the minute, I think he's more or less certain to play. I think the only real question mark is Harvey Elliott and what happens with him, because we've got Shaqiri, Minamino, Jota, Harry Wilson, of course, Origi, Brewster, so many forward options that we could use, and whether Klopp goes to Harvey Elliott, sit out of this one, lads, wait and see at the end of the window the situation, and then you'll get more minutes with the first team, or what exactly happens with that situation. We're going to
I
have
think
to
he'll
wait
be
and see.
involved at some point. I think he will maybe get half an hour run out at the end, because he has got that pace where towards the end of the game, when the Lincoln players are probably inevitably getting tired, he could be quite a useful asset for us. But whether or not he starts is quite a big shout. As you said, we have got players who are in the shop window and we'll be looking to sort of get a little bit of attention for. But Harvey Elliott needs to get a minute sooner or later, because I think he was quite disappointed not to get his medal last season. So it'd be interesting to see who Klopp goes for.
Yeah, put your starting lineup predictions in the comments, of course. For me, I think it's interesting with Harvey Elliott. I'd love to see him start. I think he is the future of this football club, and that's what we should be looking to in games like this, not players that are leaving the club. I want to see players that play for the shirt, play for the badge, and play for the future at this football club, and not for moves elsewhere. We also saw Klopp with Adam Lallana after Project Restart, stating that he didn't want to play him because he was worried about injuries and stuff like that. I think you could see a similar thing here in terms of if you play Marco Grujic, Harry Wilson, players like that, then actually they may play more reserved and not want to throw themselves all into the game because they're saving themselves for a move and making sure they don't get long-term injuries and that sort of thing. So
We
yeah, it's really,
saw it,
really
though, didn't we,
interesting.
with Christian Eriksen in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Tottenham documentary where he was playing, whether subconsciously or not, he was playing a little bit too safe and not putting himself out there because he didn't want to ruin the chance of moving out to another club. And it could be the same for the likes of Origi, Brewster. I'd be surprised if he was anywhere near being involved. But also Shaqiri, Grujic, and Wilson. We're all looking to bring in about 20 million for each of them. And the last thing we want now is an injury when we're trying to balance the books.
Absolutely. There's some big games this weekend, James. Moving on. In fact, there's a big week for Liverpool. Oh, your Welsh flag's just fallen down. But yeah, we've got Manchester United away on Friday.
Yeah.
That's the under-23s after playing on Tuesday night, of course, against Wigan. And then that's after the Lincoln game on the Thursday too. And then on Saturday at 11 o'clock. That might be changed. There's some weird fixture changes in the unders at the minute. But at the minute, it's 11 o'clock kickoff on Saturday. The under-18s play Manchester City, which in the last couple of years has been one that's decided the title, really. So that'll be a good fixture too. Remember, follow at Redmen Academy on Twitter for all the latest updates. Both games are on LFC TV as well. But yeah, really exciting week, and there'll be loads of content for us throughout. And thank you for joining me, James, and thank you for joining us and watching, everyone. So we shall see you again soon. Ta-ra.